truly are. Your magnificence shines through. You are perfect, exactly as you are.
As you know, the Centers for Spiritual Living has the annual theme, which is the science of mind. And right now, this month, we've been looking at spiritual mind treatment. And even though the actual, if you happen to see it, which I did at some time in the future, but I saw that it was affirmations and denials, but somewhere along the line, the message that was brewing in me is next week's, which is spiritual mind treatment. And I thought, well, that's just fine because I'm giving the message next Sunday, so I can do it any way I want to do it. And in actuality, to talk about affirmations and denials in regards to spiritual mind treatment, it seems to me that an understanding of spiritual mind treatment comes first. So that's the way my mind works, which is probably why I was going down that road. I have a couple of books that I would like to share with you in regard to the topic. And one of them is this book called Open at the Top, The Life of Ernest Holmes. What is interesting and notable about this book is that the author, Neil Vale, is not or was not a religious scientist. He is someone who does, kind of biographies. And for whatever reason, he had an interest in Ernest Holmes and religious science and the teaching of the science of mind. And so this book is from the perspective of how science of mind began, Ernest Holmes' life, and most importantly, this thing that we call spiritual mind treatment. Now, you probably know, you may know, that Ernest, in his evolution, in his spiritual evolution, that he studied so many different religions and philosophies and even sciences of the day. And in that process, he formulated this thing called the science of mind. Now, the teaching as a whole and the principles of unity and oneness and the use of how our mind uses those things for good is not necessarily unique in the field of metaphysics. But what is unique is that Ernest Holmes developed this form of prayer, which is really not a prayer in terms of how we think about prayer. Older. Spiritual mind treatment and the steps of treatment is a gift and something very unique that Ernest brought to the world. Unity does not or did not use spiritual mind treatment in the way that we do, the way that we've been taught to as religious scientists. Christian Science certainly did not use it in the way that we do. And so this is one of the very important things that sets apart Centers for Spiritual Living and the teaching of the science of mind, is that what we have at the core of our teaching is this thing, this practice called spiritual mind treatment. And that's what I want to talk about today. Spiritual mind treatment, if we look at, well, what does that mean? I love the idea that the word spiritual is first and that mind comes second. And so what that is telling me is that to make something spiritual, as in my mind, that I'm actually doing a practice to spiritualize my mind. Because as Billy so articulately and personally shared with us, our mind can go all kinds of places. And our mind can be gripped by fear, by obstacles, by what ifs. But as soon as we, as Dr. Holmes invites us to do, turn away from the appearance and the condition, we begin to spiritualize our mind. Now, all of this obviously is a study, because what we come to know in the study and the practice of spiritual mind treatment is that my mind is a part of the one mind. That my mind is not separate and apart from the one infinite mind, the creative mind, that not only is the universe, but created the universe. And in truth, with a capital T, and by that I mean it never changes, the one universal mind of God or spirit or infinite intelligence, or as Dr. Holmes said, the thing itself, the one infinite mind is all there is. And that is the mind that we are using. Oh my gosh. I mean, that is just amazing. There's only one infinite mind. It's the mind of absolute truth. It's the wholeness, the goodness, the divine right action, the perfection, the harmony, the balance, the order, the freedom, the abundance, the prosperity, the creative aspect. That's all there is, and that's the mind that you and I are using. We are personalizing it. We are individualizing it. And within this infinite mind, there is infinite potential. And there is this awareness of all of itself at one time. I mean, think of it. The infinite is conscious and aware of itself. Everywhere, all the time. And out of that being conscious, out of that awareness, you and I and all life forms, all people, all of nature, every aspect of creativity that is in physical form has been created. And we are a part of that. We're a part of that. That's the changeless truth that we are. It never changes, no matter what is going on. So, Billy, I got to tell you, your fear ain't nothing to the truth of your being. Your fear is not even recognized in the truth and as the truth of who you are. And I would go so far as to say, and this is an affirmation and a denial, there is no fear. You are not fear. You are of the original creation, which is about possibilities. And you live in an absolute safe and supportive universe that always has your back. According to your belief. So, pretty interesting. We've been created free. We get to choose. We are of this infinite mind, and then we're set free. It's like, here, you have choice now. Go choose what you're going to think and what you're going to believe. And so, yes, you had a lot of other experiences. We want to rewrite our history because we as human beings have come to believe a lot of things about ourselves that are just plain old not true. So what is it that holds it into place? Our belief. Our identification. Identifying with it. Being fearful of stepping out of our comfort zone. Of knowing that we are greater and more powerful than any illness. So Dr. Holmes says spiritualize your mind. In spiritual mind treatment, we begin with this basic premise that we are the infinite one in form. We're not just some part of it. We are like a drop in the ocean, and that drop contains every aspect of all of the qualities of the ocean, and so do we. And then he calls it treatment. It's treatment. Okay. So what are we doing when we're treating something? What are treatment? If you're going to give something a treatment, what do? Okay. You're giving, I like that, giving it medicine. And I think, because I like to clean. And so, it's not really quite the same as a treatment, as giving something a treatment, but I like to think of dusting or cleaning something. And maybe it's kind of covered with grime or soot or dust. It doesn't really sparkle. It doesn't show the beauty of what it is. And so I take a rag with some special non-toxic product. And I wipe it clean. And the mirrors, I finally found the perfect spray of my own concoction. Yes, alcohol, mostly water, alcohol, and just a smidge of vinegar. And the perfect towel. And the mirrors sparkle and reflect back to me what I really look like. So we give it a treatment, or you do woodwork, or, treatments. You give it a treatment. So it's really not a prayer, is it? Except that a prayer, if you look at the root word of a prayer, it's entreat. It's to treat it. But we don't treat it by begging or beseeching or by saying, please help me. Or with maybes. Maybe God will, maybe God won't. We claim it. We spiritualize it. We speak our truth. We know that's the truth of who we are. And as we speak it, the truth of us that's already within us begins to awaken. And so we awaken to our magnificence and to the possibilities. And if I say that I am whole, complete, and perfect, and I do that from the first step of treatment, which is recognizing that this infinite spirit, this divine creation, this unconditional love of the spirit is the truth of everything, everyone, including me, then I get to say how I want to use it. So, spiritualizing. Now, Dr. Holmes says an intelligent study of the science of mind brings us to the place of understanding that all is love. All is everything that I've been describing as spirit. And then he goes on to say, and yet, all is law. Law is spontaneous. Law doesn't care what terrible things you've done before. Law does not judge. Law does not discern this person and not that person. Law says whoever uses the principle, whoever believes this, so it shall be. That's why we say, and so it is. This statement also says that in an intelligent study of the science of mind. So it's something, in order to practice it, we have to study it. And in order to study it, we have to practice it. The study is actually a practice. And this is what the Center for Spiritual Peninsula is about. The study and the practice. Now, what this means to me, as someone who has received tremendous healing, as someone who reveals the truth of who I am in a much fuller way than I did before. I used it, learned this, studied it, and practiced it. What this means to me, what it brings up for me, is an incredible amount of acceptance, which is actually gratitude. And it's, I think it's interesting to me to note that gratitude is one of the steps of treatment. And that when I feel gratitude for something, I know that I have absolutely received it. That it's mine, I'm experiencing it. It is my reality. And so that gratitude brings me to a place of saying, you know what my purpose is? My purpose is to pay that forward. My purpose, which is about my ministry, my purpose is to teach this principle, to teach the science of mind, and to do spiritual mind treatment for myself and for others. And to know that the right people are being drawn into this place that are ready to receive this, that are ready to awaken to their spiritual magnificence, that are ready, and they may not even know it, that they are ready to believe something different about themselves. So what I like to know and put into consciousness throughout the week for all of our centers, but right now most specifically for this center, is that that's the consciousness of this place. About creating this atmosphere on Sundays, in workshops, whatever is going on, but particularly on Sunday, because this is where we teach science of mind. And so this atmosphere is created of unconditional love, of absolutely knowing that out in the world that people are being drawn here to awaken their spiritual magnificence. That there's that within each one of you that takes that serious, takes it serious. That you come here and you expect to be spiritually fed. But in addition to that, there's something really much greater that's going on. And it's about knowing that these walls, when you look around this room, these are the walls. You know, and you could say, well, it's a bigger space than the office. But it's big enough. And there's empty chairs. And that these walls give a space, but that in truth, the energy that moves out beyond these walls, whether you're a member, whether you're an occasioner, whatever, that's what this is about. So not only right now, but during the week, you really are broadcasting. You are setting your intention in your life and for the life of the center. You have the right to make your decisions about what's a priority. Is this center a priority to you financially? Is it a priority to you in terms of, in other words, your time, talent, and your treasure? Is your life to you, for yourself, a priority that you make a daily practice of spiritual mind treatment? Are you important enough to yourself that you have someone doing spiritual mind treatment for you? That you're aware of areas in your life, no matter how much you've grown, no matter how much good you're revealing, that there's more. And that there's somebody here to go sit with you after service and do spiritual mind treatment for you. Dr. Holmes says that's really the best way that it works for all of us, is to have someone else treating for us, knowing the truth of us. So I have a lot more to share with you next week about this topic. Only got on my first little page here. However, this is our charge. We have this amazing teaching. And I know that each one of you would not be here if you had not benefited in some way from it, if you didn't resonate with it in some way. So that's the charge that I'm putting out for those of you that want to accept it, that you begin to up-level your practice of spiritual mind treatment for yourself and for this center. And to know that we are in a process of growth and change and wonderful movability. And that along the way, you may, individually or collectively, bump up against places of obstacles and fears and not enoughness, or whatever it may be. And that you know exactly what to do about that. You know that the mind that you are using is the mind of God. That's the love. And you know that all is law. And you're conscious that when you're bumping up, what's yours to do? To turn away from the appearance, to go to the place in your center that knows the truth of who you are, to know that you're in a universe of love and support, and that this community is here by divine appointment, just as you are. So there are blessings, there's prosperity, there's more than enough love to go around, there's more than enough time to go around, and all is well, and we shall continue. And so I know this, and so it is. Namaste.